Hey, what's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newport from ChasingStrength.com. And in today's video, we are discussing part one of rethinking the perfect with air quotes, kettlebell workout plan. There are three ingredients you must consider. And like I said, this is part one. So we're going to cover the first set or the first ingredient. Okay. So, just as a preface, as we enter 2024 here, my hope personally is that as you look back on the past year, that you can see yourself noticeably, visibly stronger, leaner, and hopefully better conditioned than you were this time last year. And well, if you're not, well, we'll address that in just a minute. But if you're in the first group, hopefully you found and followed a plan that actually worked for you, even if it wasn't perfect, right? And if you're in the second, well, or in the third, which is what I call net zero, which is nothing gained but nothing lost either. So what we could also call the treading water group. Well, regardless of whether you're in groups 1, 2, or 3, it's the concept of perfect of what I want to cover in today's video. So you're set up for maximum success in this year. So I'm going to pop up a Venn diagram here on the screen, and we're going to see the perfect workout program, or what I actually call the almost perfect program, because, well, let's face it, perfect doesn't really exist in the natural world now, does it? So this is as close as we can get. So in the middle, you're going to see where the three circles overlap, and that's where we have optimum results, or what we call perfect or almost perfect, right? But what do each one of those circles represent? What's the P, the F, the O? All right, well, that's what we're going to cover off on in this video. So let's start with the P and work our way left. So the P has three different components to it: skill, frequency, and volume. So number one is skill. And skill is your ability to perform the kettlebell lifts of your choice, okay? Now, your skill is actually based on a few things. One is actually having the correct knowledge of what technique for each lift should actually look and feel like, okay? Now, this is obviously something that needs to be learned through trial and error. Nobody comes to this perfect right out of the starting gate, right? So there are four ways that you can achieve correct technique for each lift. Number one is browse YouTube, right? Which is what you're doing now, watch YouTube videos. Number two is take an online course from a reputable source. Number three is attend a workshop, preferably by a certified kettlebell instructor, right? Somebody who's been in the game for a little bit. Or number four is hire a kettlebell instructor for private lessons. Obviously, the last is the best, be it over Zoom or in person, right? And it will fast track your results like you would not believe because, well, it's customized and personalized. And obviously, it most likely will require the biggest financial investment. Now, number two is knowing that your body is actually allowing you to perform those techniques, right? So many of us have come to kettlebell training from other sports, right? Mixed martial arts, BJJ, powerlifting, weightlifting in my case, right? Or hard charging careers like military, law enforcement, and first responders. And as a result of those backgrounds and careers, we have pretty high mileage, and many of us are pretty banged up, or at least were pretty banged up. And that means we have sore, stiff, even painful parts that don't move as well as they did, or like they did when we were kids, right? Or certainly not as well as we would like them to. So I think this goes without saying, but it actually limits what we can do and what we should do with our kettlebells. So examples would be bad lower backs, bad knees, bad shoulders, bad elbows, to name but some. Now, the problem with that is our hard charging hoorah attitudes will only make these areas worse, right? So I think that stands to reason. If you push through pain, guess what you end up getting? Yeah, more pain, right? The good news is our bodies are incredibly adaptive and resilient, and we can reverse much, if not all, the damage that we did to ourselves in our youth, okay? But here's big but. It's a big but. It's a caveat. Oh, he said big but. It just takes a little bit of time, patience, and perseverance. And honestly, that's not quite true. If you're really banged up, it's going to take more than a little bit of time, right? It'll take some time, and in some cases, a long time, a lot of patience, and a lot of perseverance. Okay. Now let's get on to our frequency. We just covered skill. Let's cover frequency. Okay. So frequency is the number of workouts or training sessions, if you prefer, per week, per month, per quarter, per year that you actually complete, right? Typically, we measure these on a weekly and or monthly basis. And sometimes if you're building a plan, you're going to stack them together on a, 2 4-week cycles or 3 4-week cycles. So you get an 8-week plan or a 12-week plan. And sometimes you'll even do 4 4-week cycles for a 16-week plan. But here's the deal. Many of us come from a sporting background where we had practice 5 days a week and competed usually one or more days on the weekends, especially if we had tournaments. And so as a result, we equate more or faster results by working out more, right? As in more days per week. And although, look, this can work, especially when we're young, and as we'll see when we get to the F, right? It's not always the case, right? The frequency of your workout, apart from the F that we're about to talk about, is usually based on several things, right? The first is personality. Some people love to work out, to train, right? Some people, I know at least one person who loves to train hard 7 days a week. I don't know what else he's got going on in his life, but he loves to do it and it seems to work for him. So, kudos to that dude. High frequency training or near daily training is for that type of person. Conversely, there are people who actually hate working out, but know they should. So they will most likely do better with a traditional 3-day a week workout. Now, number two is what we call stress mitigation, and that's some high stress individuals need to train or work out to actually alleviate their stress, right? So you probably figured out by now, training releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals in the brain that also give you a sense of accomplishment, right? If that's you, like I said, you figured this out already, you probably know who you are. Conversely, if you're somebody who eats or drinks or both to alleviate your stress, yeah, you may want to exchange one or both of those for daily workouts to crush that stress, right? So number three is we need to take a look at our schedule. How often can you train versus how often do you want to train, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, many people don't think they have enough time, right? Air quotes, enough time to train the way they think they should, right? The way they've been told or taught they should do it, right? Yet the reality is we all have 168 hours in our weeks, right? You don't have more hours in your week than I do, and vice versa. So let's take a quick look at what the averages are for the activities that people do throughout the week. Okay, so first we have sleep, and that's roughly 7 hours a night or 49 hours a week. Most people work about 50 hours a week. Okay, some more, some less, right? These are just averages. Travel to and from work is about 10 hours. Okay, so about an hour each way. Again, averages, some more, some less. Me, I mean, I have a horrible travel schedule. I have to actually walk downstairs into my basement office, right? Which is, I mean, it's like, I don't know how many stairs that is. It's tough. So, we all have our crosses to bear. You get what I'm saying, right? Obviously, a little tongue in cheek, a little sarcasm there. But this next one, I totally empathize with, and that's shuttling kids back and forth. Okay. For some of us, it's like 10 hours a week, right? Depending on how many kids you have and how many places, different sports and different activities they have to participate in, right? So let's take a look at another one that most people ignore, and maybe they're not even aware exists. That's social media use, how much time you actually spend on social media. Well, that's on average 2.7 hours per day or 18.9 hours a week or 19 hours, right? So our grand total is 141 hours of time spent during the week. So that gives us 27 hours free that we can work out in. So most of us, we have enough time, right? Now, Jeff, you didn't include XYZ activity. I know I can't include all of them. I don't know what your schedule looks like, right? But you do. Chances are pretty good that you're somewhere in that 27, 24, 20 extra hours a week. So, certainly you can find 3 hours in your week to train and work out, all right? So number three, we're looking at volume, which is total work performed measured by sets times reps times the weight used, all right? This is pretty simple. Typically, the more work you can do, the faster and better your results. So when we account for the F and the O, which we'll cover in the next couple of videos, it'll make sense, okay? But here's a big but, another big but, lots of big buts in this video, right? There's too much volume, right? Too much work can actually be detrimental, especially when we're talking about this P, or what we are finally going to reveal as practice. So practice then is really just the process or the action of showing up, which some coaches have said is as much as 80% of the battle, right? So building your practice, think of this as your workouts or your training sessions on skill, right? The S, V, the volume, and F, frequency, is a major component or set of ingredients in building your almost perfect kettlebell workout plan, right, for this coming year. All right, so hopefully all that makes sense. Next time, we'll be covering the F in the Venn diagram, which if you don't wrap your mind around this, it will stand for failure, which is an F that we do not want to partake of, okay? As in a failure to make progress, as in a failure to make the gains, bruh. You know what I'm saying? All right. So look, if you need some resources this year, here are some, right, that will fast track you for this upcoming year. And I'll leave the links to them in the description below. Okay. I'll leave a link for a single kettlebell skill training course. I'll leave a link for a double kettlebell skill training course. And then I'll leave a link for Fix Yourself course, right? If you got some issues you need to take care of, I'll leave a link for a program that'll help you do that. It's what I use myself. Okay. So hopefully you found this video helpful. You enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it for you. If you did, click the like button, click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and feel free to share this link with your friends and family members who you know will find this helpful. Okay. And until next time, my friend, stay strong.